Welcome, Master Duelist, to the Master Duel Dojo. There are some who call me Tim. This is Thoughtseize. The idea here is that I'm just gonna rant and be mad. I'm gonna take your thoughts, I'm gonna question them, and probably make you mad. So I don't know how frequently I'm gonna do this. I started recording. I recorded for almost an hour, just ranting at this one Reddit post, and then I Mrs. Dojo came in and told me I had real life responsibilities that I had to do. So I'm here to finish my rant, and I need to. So we're gonna cut to the beginning because I had I knew I was gonna call this Thoughtseize, but then I just completely forgot when I made my other intro. So you get to hear that, maybe I'll cut it. We'll see what you hear. And then you're going to hear my rant, and then I'm going to splice it, and then the rest of this recording will be at the end. And it's just going to be messy recording, messy cutting, but that's what we've got. First episode, or technically the second episode, because I did a little interview with my friend Meeps, and I think that Thoughtseize is going to just be a lot of anger coming out, or thoughts from me, or thoughts from you. I'm going to have guests whenever I feel like it. So this is Thoughtseize episode 2, as we're changing. And today we're trying a new format, and that format is just I'm looking at Reddit, I'm getting mad, and everyone on Reddit is wrong because I am a genius and you guys don't know it. And my opinions are objectively correct. So a little bit of backstory. I really hate Reddit. In high school, I used to visit Reddit a lot. I had one technical drawing class where we would I would finish my project or whatever really quickly, and then I would just browse Reddit because that was one of the few things that wasn't blocked at school that was somewhat entertaining to do. But after that, I got off Reddit and I stopped going on. And for a very long time, whenever I go on Reddit, it always feels like lowest common denominator because that is the publicly visible forum, and it feels like a step removed from something personal like Discord. There are huge Discords where it's just shouting into the void, but it moves so quickly. Where Reddit feels a little bit like the old forums like Pojo and whatnot, but where anybody goes on and everybody knows what Reddit is. So there's a subreddit for everything, and so of course Yu-Gi-Oh players, among every other hobby, go to their subreddit and complain about whatever it is. And the main problem I have is that nobody wants to do any learning, myself included, on many topics. And people just want their feelings to be validated. Feelings are more important than the truth or reality. So that's what's going on. And people fundamentally don't understand the game, or they want something out of the game that it isn't. And so before I even get into this first post that I want to read, players, I need to talk about what the heck a game is, because a game is defined by its goal and its rules and the things that you can do in that game. So pick your favorite sports ball game, and would you say it's a game? Probably. And if you change the rules, if something is different, is it then the same game? Can you? I don't even know. So Euro football with the Rescue Rabbit, this type of football, because I live in Spain. There was the big league, and then I was doing some English tutoring with some local Spanish kids, and they were really into some other separate league, Kings League. That's what it is. Kings League was they changed the whole format of the game to be TikTok friendly and hype friendly, basically, for more money. And I thought it was really smart because they were turning it into a spectacle. They were still playing football. They still had to be good, but it was then a spectacle rather than just the same sport. So I have very little opinion. My opinion, I know very little about football. So I can't speak so much of it, but football, if you don't know the ins and outs, is not interesting. And Kings League made it more interesting. They made it more exciting with more randomness and mystery and different things like that to make it more exciting to watch. And they also made the games shorter because I don't know how long football matches last, an hour and a half, 2 hours, three, I don't know. They're long. And the Kings League games were something like 45 minutes. So this was a big change. And people were saying like this isn't even the same sport, and some people were very, very upset that this is like not the same. It's not the same. And they are completely correct. They are no longer playing the same game. The game is very, very similar, but it is not the same game. And so if you take Yu-Gi-Oh and you change the rules, it's no longer the same game. So if I'm playing a let's think of a good example. If we've gentleman's agreement to cite out our vanity's emptiness and return from the different dimension. If we've gentlemen's agreements to cite out a certain card, and then I don't, it is not, we are not then playing under the same parameters, and you are likely to get mad because I'm playing under different parameters that then give me an advantage. And so you're mad at me because I'm playing literally a different game than you. And this is what I see all the time, just absolutely all the time with anybody who's not like playing the meta decks, because everyone loves to hate meta. Just meta. Meta is the worst. You're meta sheep, meta slave. Just everyone point and laugh. Meta. And so these players that are not playing meta they don't understand. So everybody wants to win. Of course, everybody wants to win. But these players don't understand that they are not actually playing to win. They're playing for an alternate motivation. They're playing because I can't even fathom. I'm not even going to pretend I know. They want to be like an anime character, or they think it's cool, or they just like to hang out with their friends, or they really like Dragon Maids and Sky Strikers, or they want to make sure that you aren't allowed to play any single card and go home crying, and they just start Fossil Dyna set 4, go. Like, any of this stuff. And so the motivation, so it doesn't matter. So like that Fossil Dyna guy, you know this guy at your locals, you've met him. He shows up to locals with a deck that is just miserable to play against. You're like, oh my God, not this, no. They post the pairings or they announce them, or you check Neuron. I've not been to locals in I don't know how long, years, literal years. I don't know how people do locals now, but you get your pairings, you see it's against him, and it's like, oh, I'm not afraid to lose to him. I know I'm gonna 2-0 him, but he's just going to make the game absolutely miserable because he plays that deck. He plays Umi control or whatever. Like, I'm not going to lose, but it's going to be annoying or something. And so, and he doesn't care. Umi control guy, Flunderies, whatever it is, some kind of stun deck. It's always stun because that's the most effective. They don't actually care if they win or not. They just want you to have a bad time and not be able to play, because he thinks you deserve it for playing a meta deck. That's this guy. And so his motivation is not to win at all. That guy's motivation is Schadenfreude. And if you don't know what Schadenfreude is, it's a German word for deriving pleasure from somebody else's. He just wants to experience the Schadenfreude. And other players also, so there's little kids at locals, and they don't really care about winning is not their priority either. They just want to be able to like do their thing. So they don't actually care who the winner of the match is if they are able to summon their biggest monster. They're able to summon 5-headed dragon today in the tournament, they're happy. Or whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Or they have some funky combo they want to pull off, or whatever. Or maybe their goal is to win. No, because then if your goal is to win like a single match and you just are terrible, then your goal is still winning. And that's like a separate issue. That's just a literal skill issue if your goal is winning and you're just not winning. But these players whose goals is something other than winning, so they want to play something different, or they are opposed to the meta decks to begin with. I'm not talking about budget players. Budget players are doing the best they can within their budget if they're still playing to win. It's the motivations that are not to win. So these players literally don't understand that they've shifted a parameter of the game by restricting themselves from link summoning, or from using the best decks, or from using trap cards, or from using hand traps, or whatever. It doesn't, I don't care. I don't care what it is. And, or that they want to specifically play anime decks. I think anime decks are a problem because they are not ever the best deck. Sometimes. I found an image. All right, so this is the image, and it's just, I don't know where this image came from. It is in Comic Sans. It is just a whole bunch of like different Yu-Gi-Oh archetypes that are played in the anime, and some of these are not terrible. Blue Eyes is not terrible. Thunder Dragon is not terrible. I don't remember who played Thunder Dragon in the anime. Ancient Gear is playable. Crystal Beasts are kind of playable. Heroes are very playable. Black Wings were quite good. Infernity, very good. You should rock up. You should like come to somebody's duel and like go on Dueling Book, and somebody will have a room like anime decks only, and then you show up with the full power Infernity from what, 2014 or whatever. 3 Soul Charge, 3 Infernity Barrier. I'm not sure if they were ever unlimited together, but like this, like Laval Chain, Soul Charge, Infernity Barrier deck, and be like, it's Infernity, it's an anime deck. Because I think that is the most heinous version of Infernity, more heinous than the like previous Synchro versions. I think the Thoughtseize version is much more insidious of a deck. TGs were not a deck. Like you could put them as a deck, but like they were not a deck. Battle and Boxers are, I would not say a good deck. Photon/Galaxies are like a playable deck that are not completely embarrassing. I think the Onomat stuff is now good enough. And then Arc 5 has a whole bunch of big long list here. And there are some playable decks in here that like are not embarrassing. Like if you're going for like something other than the meta and you play one of these, like they're not embarrassing. Like DDD, Lunalight, Lyrilisk, Pendulum Magician, Melodious, the whole Pendulum slot, Phantom Knights, Wind Witches, like do some stuff. And then in Vrains, we have more stuff too. So Ignisters, Altergeist, the Boral Rocket stuff, the Code Talker Cyber Slop, Goki, Marincess, Salad. Like these are real decks. So like you should bring Infernity and like Goki to the anime duels. Where the heck was I? These players that are playing for a reason other than they want to play an anime deck or whatever. I cannot fathom what they're... See, the themes I like to play that are not meta, I legitimately stop enjoying them as soon as like I can't win a game. Like I don't even like Sky Striker is the deck I enjoy to play quite a lot, but it's often just not good. Dragon Rulers is another one. I just literally don't enjoy to play Dragon Rulers because it has such a hard time winning games. Okay, rant of a new player. So we're gonna read this, and you all disciples in the audience, you need to remember that if you've modified the parameters of what you're allowed to play, you are... Oh, I remember where the heck I was. I'm sorry. So if you've modified the parameters of what you can play, so you want to play, so the anime brings in people because these decks are exciting and cool and they look awesome, and your guy summons Firewall Dragon or whatever. Firewall Dragon's actually a good card, but they summon Dark Magician and summon Skull, and these are unfortunately just not good cards. So you bring them to the game and you get smoked by somebody ending on just a huge Malice board, or it doesn't matter. Insert current deck here. Insert meta. So the anime decks, they need to... That's why I brought up that list in the first place. Now I remember. So you need to open up that list, and Konami needs to be making the anime decks stronger. But there's a 2-part problem here, because if you like Rockets, like Dragon Link. So Dragon Link, I think, is a very cool deck. There's a lot of fans of Dragon Link, and I think it is a fun deck to play. I think it's got really cool boss monsters. I hear really cool, like, metal clinking, reloading sounds in my head when I, like, summon Borderland Dragon and stuff. They're cool cards, but it is not conceptually easy for new players or low skill players to use. They like don't get it. There's a lot that they just don't get, and we've all seen the like super steep learning curve that Yu-Gi-Oh has. And Rocket is not, I would not give like a Rocket Dragon Link deck to a new player. It is, so I've said so many times that like you can just like learn a basic combo or whatever, but the new player also has to be able to like walk on their own to not fail if they don't have that combo. So if you show them like normal summon Snake Eye Ash, and then they can follow the combo, they can follow the spreadsheet to completion, and they get to the point where they can like, they're repeatedly seeing the same lines over and over, and how to like play around hand traps. So like if this card is stopped or that card is stopped or whatever, they can extend a little bit. When they can't, they just absolutely crumple and like, so if you tell them, if you teach them, you start Snake Eye Ash, and if you don't have Ash, you use Diabell Star to get Ash. And then if they like start Poplar, they'll go Poplar, Oak, and then like put Poplar in the back row, and then like they just like completely panic and like can't figure out that like Poplar doesn't go on. If you're starting like that, if that's your play, then you should not. That's a bad example anyway, because you go Poplar, link it off, put it in the back row, and then you summon Ash or Oak, and then Oak would be able to reborn Poplar. Besides, so the problem is the complicatedness of how decks actually play. So even something like Blue Eyes, like modern Blue Eyes with like Wishes, Maiden, True Light, and like the Primate stuff, I think is a very good deck for players. Like it's a good deck to have because it is actually really decent. But when you make those decks too strong and then it becomes meta, players then will hate on this deck just because it's meta. So people will hate Blue Eyes because it's suddenly good. And if you, so the poor Blue Eyes player, this actually happened. We ran a like a non-meta tournament, and one guy, we banned specifically the new Blue Eyes cards. Just what the Blue Eyes was brand new at the time to Master Duel, and we banned the Blue Eyes cards along with a whole bunch of other meta stuff. So it was Neo Ultimate, Wishes, Maiden, and like other stuff. And this one guy, he was not playing a good list at all. Like he barely had any of the new stuff. And he's like, I don't understand why half of my deck is banned and all of this other deck is unbanned. It's like, because this is a power level. Like the new where Blue Eyes is still allowed to be played here in this non-meta ban list, just not the new cards, because the new cards make the Blue Eyes deck actually good. So that's why those are banned. And these other non-meta decks are fully unlimited because they are not meta. So like you could play, it's like take another like meta deck. So like Malice. Like, okay, we're gonna ban Dormouse, White Rabbit, Chessie, March Hare, but leave the other cards legal. So you can have the link monsters, you can have the trap cards, you can have both spells, and you can have the Ignisters. And it's like, then why would you bother playing it? Okay, so Blue Eyes is too strong. So if you make a deck too strong, it is too strong for all of his friends. In 2015, my cousin, he was my cousin. He's just much younger than me. We gave my cousin, me and my friends, 3 copies of the Geargia structure deck, like assembled in a coherent manner, with 3 Gear Gigant X, Maystroke, Gemnite Pearl, and like a couple other like worthless like rank 4s that were not terrible cards. Maybe like a super rare Steel Storm Roach, I don't remember. A couple rank 3s too, like there was a Zen Mains. And it was almost all Geargia cards, within like MSTs, Fiendish Chain, Book of Moon, and a couple other like run-of-the-mill staples. And he said since he was like 9 at the time, and he lived in a state away from me. And when he went back to his school and played Yu-Gi-Oh with his friends at school, nobody could beat him. The Geargia deck was too strong. He literally could not be beaten. And this is because his friends had like, I didn't see their decks. I never saw their decks, but I'm sure I've seen so many of this type of deck. Just absolute trash of like 60 cards they pulled out of loose packs. And like that cannot compete with something actually coherent. And so if you make an anime deck too strong, it either becomes meta and the fans hate it, or it is still too strong, like for your friend group. So if you're just playing Yu-Gi-Oh with your friends, it's still too strong. And Master Duel kind of fixes this, that you're like not playing Yu-Gi-Oh with your friends, you're playing on ladder most of the time against randoms. So you're not like gathering around and always beating Johnny. You're not beating Johnny every single night with Blue Eyes. And the other problem on the opposite side is if they make these cards weak. So I suppose with the Master Duel format, it is better to have a deck make Blue Eyes too strong rather than too weak. Because if you make it too strong and they're just playing on ladder, they're going to win a lot of their games and have a great time. You just need to not reach the point where you are limiting, like severely hitting the card. And I think Konami knew that with the semi-limit of Maiden and Sage, because if they limit this deck too much, the casual Blue Eyes players will not understand. They'll be confused and leave the game. So that was actually wise to like only semi-limit too. So I think Blue Eyes is actually a great success in where it's landed in Master Duel. And it has enough flexibility and there's enough cards that you can still do absolute garbage with Blue Eyes. Like you can do your terrible, terrible stuff, which leads us into our rant here at last. And so this is the rant of a new player by PowerL. We're putting you on blast. I'm sorry, PowerL. We love you. How does everyone and their moms have a full complete decks with 100 extra deck UR monster? By playing a lot. People have played a lot. People have. So again, this goes back to motivation. So if somebody focuses on something good, like if you just focus your effort on getting good cards, you will get them. It's that a lot of players try out a bunch of different things and like waste their UR points and their gems, and then they can't build anything. Or I had one friend, putting you on blast, Kyle, that he kept building new decks all the time. And he's like, oh man, I don't have any Maxis, I don't have any Imperms. And we played, and he was, what was he playing? Master Duel was new, and I think he was playing Salamangreat. And I had 2 or 3 Nibiru in my deck, and I would just nib him, and I like, nib. He's like, I cannot beat a single Nibiru, and like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I put nib in my deck, and I don't have any nibs. Well, you should craft them. It's like, I don't have any craft points. It's like, well, that's because you crafted Abyss Actors and 100 other garbage decks. I'm sorry. You should have focused on the staples. And new players have no way to know this. They can't know that they should focus on staples, and they should have a deck to complete before trying to get all the cards. So that's the first question answered. How does everyone and their mom have a full complete deck with 100 extra deck URs? It's not 100. Feels like that, but it's because that they've laser focused in on what they need to do. I am a new player. My only interaction with Yu-Gi-Oh! Was in the original series, plus starting of GX era. I played a bit of Power of Chaos games alone. Not much experience in playing the game, but I recognize quite a few cards from that time. Okay, so that's some good context. I started playing roughly 3 weeks ago. When I started playing, I was given tons of gems, which I used to open tons of random packs. I saw a cool archetype, tried to make decks for it, came to the conclusion that it is very expensive because of the URs and SRs, or is not that good. Got to a new, cooler archetype, and so on. So the super rares are only a limit in the beginning, and there's a 2-part problem here, is that new players don't know what they can dismantle, and they don't know what they want to build. So Master Duel does suck at this, at giving players an opportunity to try different things. You are kind of locked in because you have to have the cards before you can play them. And I can't remember anything that I like really, really regret building. I'm sure I blocked it out. I'm sure I have regrets. I know I have regrets because I've dismantled garbage that I'm like, oh man, why did I craft? Regret dismantle. But the like not knowing what to craft or to dismantle, not knowing what to dismantle is a problem. And I pseudo solved this in my Discord by just having a channel where you can post like your dismantleable ultra rares, and we'll tell you what is garbage, or like keep this if you want to play this deck, or that type of thing. So that's like half the problem. The other half is you don't know what deck you want to play, and that is a problem. And that's a problem because you only don't know what deck you don't want to play, or what deck you do want to play, because your motivation, you don't understand yet why you're playing the game. So you don't understand if you are playing to win and you should pick a meta deck and try to learn that, or if you are playing for a different. So if you're playing because you like a certain way a certain deck plays, you won't discover that until a long way into the game, because there's so many decks that do play very different. And if you're playing because you like a theme or whatever, so like if you like the Dragon Maids, if you just think the Dragon Maids, oh man, I just love the Dragon Maids, they are my absolute favorite, then just play them. It shouldn't really matter how they play. Oh, Cash Tira was definitely something that I was like very disappointed playing. I was like, this is, I like literally was like, this is it, like this is all I can do. It's like a Rise Heart pass, like, and we hope they don't imperm our Rise Heart. That's the end. Like there was more to it than that, but it did not feel good. Coming off of Tier Limits too. Oh my goodness. So the decks are not too expensive. You're too unfocused, because Yu-Gi-Oh Master Duel is pretty good at being free to play, but you do need to already know what you want. And I think Master Duel was going in the right direction and needs to have more permanent loaners. And I think that they should have more, be like Worlds tryout duel thing, I think is fantastic. And they should have many more things like that. Like I think so top 10 rated decks is not how Konami should have something like that, because I would love to see something like top 10 rated decks or five decks from top rated duelists, because if the top 5 decks are all the same deck, or like within the top 10, if there's 6 of the same deck, they want some diversity. They want to show off different decks. They don't want every deck top 5 to just be the same. And I know Magic has done this way back in the 90s when they had their like world championship stuff. They didn't, if it was like the finals was a mirror match, they didn't print both decks as like world champion decks. And so if they had like some kind of actual tryout deck. So the Eldritch, what was it? Eldritch, Rescue Ace, Evil Twin, Cyber Dragon. I feel like it was tactical try because there were 3 different decks, but Rescue Ace was also a trial deck somehow. They need more things like that, where you can just have a deck at least close to full power with hand traps and everything and all the staples that you can play. And it's not going to be the optimal list, because they want you to spend your time and or money, hopefully your money, on the game, and then like they capture your money that way. But they need more trial decks. So I will give you on finding your deck is hard. Okay, basically used tons of free gems to open random packs and try to build multiple decks. Okay, yes, that's a problem. That's a problem, because if you started in on a deck without a deck list, that's your own fault. Always have a deck list before you start even pulling for a pack at all, or crafting or anything. Make sure you have a deck list that you want to play. But I came to the realization that all modern decks require the extra deck to be filled with boss monsters. Okay, overgeneralization, fine. All those boss monsters usually cost UR. So besides the deck of 40 cards, which have around 10 to 15 UR, you also need 10 more for the extra deck. I hate the extra deck mechanic. Okay, so you feel blindsided that the extra deck is like de facto mandatory, but Konami does not straight up tell you that that's extra cost there. And I think that this is similar to Genesis. I was talking to one of my friends about Genesis, because he hadn't looked into it at all, where it is, you have like 100 points, and it's, however the format is, it's split across your main, extra, and side deck. So like you have 100 points to spend on all of it. Thus, in like this increases the like cost. So like if Zeus, I think, is like 20 points in Genesis. So if you have the Zeus, you have 80 points for the rest of your whole main, extra, and side deck. And this is the same. So if you have, what is it, like whatever, 2,000 gems almost immediately, you have I know you can get a ton more gems quickly on Master Duel as a new account, but I think it's roughly 2,000 gems, 2,000 or 3,000 after you've clicked around a little bit. So you have like 3,000 gems, let's say. You have 3,000 gems to build your main and extra deck, but Konami does not make it hyper crystal clear that the extra deck is mandatory. They tell you all about the extra deck, like in the solo mode and stuff, but they don't say like you will need this. And a lot of players like don't think that you do, and I don't know why. It's like like Pokemon and Magic the Gathering don't have an extra deck. Like, you just like shuffle up your other deck. And I don't think most other card games, I can't think of other card games. Vanguard got an extra deck, but I can't think of most people's like interaction with the game is you draw your cards from the deck and that's it. Like, you don't have another thing you can access. So this guy hates the extra deck. So my main deck is the Blue Eyes one. The Blue Eyes one is a slightly upgraded version from the structure deck. Let me look at the structure deck. Let me pull that up. Okay, is it Power of the Dragon? Is our hero playing Power of the Dragon? Or is he playing Blue Eyes Max? I think he's playing Blue Eyes Max. But again, this has 5 extra deck monsters in it. So his main deck is the Blue Eyes one. This is another thing that like people don't realize, that like you can start from things other than structure deck. It's a slightly upgraded version from the structure deck. No Primates, no Spirit Dragons. They're expensive as hell. Again, I don't know where I stand about this, because if you made a new account and you focused on getting the Blue Eyes cards, you could get them very, very quickly and easily. They're only expensive because of the opportunity cost, because you're always wanting to build something else. So like my account, for example, doesn't have the Blue Eyes cards and it doesn't have the Primate cards, but I opted for different cards and decks at every turn. Like, if I had opted for the Blue Eyes stuff instead of the other stuff, then I would have the Blue Eyes stuff. Oh, Dragon Rulers. Dragon Rulers is something that I put a lot of gems into, and I just hate playing this deck because it's so terrible. I love Dragon Rulers. One of my favorite decks, and it's just dog water. Okay, his main deck's the Blue Eyes one. The Primates and Spirit Dragons are expensive as hell, so I suppose this is like a budget concern, but it's not. Main idea is to bring Blue Eyes /Jet /Alternative and maybe cheese out a Chaos Max Dragon. That's it. I have a lot of games where I summon 1 to 2 Blue Eyes, set 1 to 2 cards, end my turn usually with 1 or 2 cards in my hand. All right. So you've got the right idea here, that you need to summon your monster, follow it up with back row, and then you've got like a couple cards left over for hand trap or for follow up on the next. But these summoning Alternative or Jet doesn't interact with your opponent at all. You need to what you need to do in Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, and Konami does not tell you this, is you need to set up monsters with negates or other forms of disruption, monsters with floodgates, or monsters your opponent cannot deal with. Like, and like Jet Dragon makes your other things indestructible, but not, okay. And maybe cheese out a Chaos Max Dragon. That one's unaffected by some stuff. Your opponent cannot target it and it cannot be destroyed. Okay, so he's like kinda hard. And again, he says cheese out. So like, it's a ritual summon. And so I don't know what he means by cheese out. So people think that like, if you ritual summon Chaos Max Dragon, that's not cheesing it out. Like, we don't have Cyberstein for rituals. Like, you have to ritual summon them. And that's why rituals have always been bad. We need something that like acts as the full tribute and doesn't go minus in cards. Like, that's how Necros was good. That's how Mitsurugi is good. They don't go minus in cards. It's not cheesing if you go -2 to summon a Chaos Max. Okay. And then comes the opponent's turn. They special /synchro /exceed /link summon 100 monsters. Use a lot of spells, destroy my monsters, and at the end of the turn, they'd still have 5 cards in their hands. Aren't the cards in hand supposed to be a resource? I see what you mean, but the cards you start with this is because you didn't put up any disruption, because you didn't summon Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon. Like, if you had summoned a Spirit Dragon, they would have a lot harder time playing the game. And if you learn how to summon 2 Spirit Dragon and then you turn them into Ulti plus Cypher, I bet you're going to win a lot of games. Like, and that's 3 URs. It's only 3, because you need 2 Spirit Dragons, Crimson Dragon. So 4 URs, which sounds like a lot, but you can get there, I promise. So they summon 100 monsters, and this is, again, just rage hyperbole, just blinded by the rage, can't see anything. Meta. And use a lot of spells, destroy my monsters, and I thought you were summoning Jet Dragon. Like, this is because you don't have any interaction to stop them. So if you're letting your opponent summon 100 monsters with impunity, I don't know what to tell you. Put trap cards in your deck. This happens if I go first. If I go second, it's the same for my opponent. Brings out 100 monsters, 100 traps. I managed to somehow destroy a few of their monsters, but then my opponent says, haha, you fell into my trap. So I can tell. I can just, by the opponents he's playing, that he's low rated, like not higher than gold. Almost all monsters do something when they're sent to the grave. Why? Why the F do I need to deal with why the F do I need to deal with monsters more than one time? That's because your opponent has a good deck. They've built a competent deck, and you've built a deck with different parameters of restricting yourself from using the extra deck and from using any other main deck stuff. I don't even know. I don't even know what you do. So this is so he's got no Primites in his deck. He's got, I'm sure there's no Imperms, there's no Ash Blossoms, there's no Maxis. Let me look. Has he posted his deck? No, he's not posted his deck. Okay. So you're the good Blue Eyes monsters are the same. So Maiden comes out of the graveyard, True Light summons Blue Eyes from the graveyard every turn, and then you can synchro summon them into Azure. Azure is a super rare, and that also protects your dragons and reborns Blue Eyes on your turn. Like, that is literally a skill issue. And even if you don't want to do that, like, you can summon Azure, and if they attack Maiden when she's attacked summons a Blue Eyes, right? Yeah. Maiden summons a Blue Eyes or more tuners. So that Maiden comes out of the graveyard every turn and brings friends with it. Like, your deck does this too, without the extra deck. Also, Master, and then the other one, the other woman, not the old maid, the other woman that you like discard and she summons a monster or something. They summon more Blue Eyes monsters. I'm just tired of my opponent not letting me play the game. You can do the same thing, Bucko. I really don't know what to tell you here. Is that you haven't learned what cards you have access to that stop your opponent from playing the game. Like, if your deck doesn't stop your opponent in some way, you're gonna have a bad time. I remember I was playing Battling Boxers at locals because it was hilarious, and I would just summon Lead Yoke, set some trap cards, and some of the other guys at locals were so mad. They just hated Lead Yoke. Lead Yoke. Battling Boxer Lead Yoke was the bane of my locals for a few weeks that summer, and I would just summon Lead Yoke, set some trap cards, and they would just be so mad that they couldn't deal with Lead Yoke, and like, just evac it or whatever. And they'd be like, I can't destroy it. And it's like, just attack over it. It only has 2200 attack. And one guy he literally looked like he was gonna like flip the table. He was so mad. His face was beet red when I said Lead Yoke only has 2200 attack. I'm tired of my opponent not letting me play the game. Every monster has negate effects. Every monster has special summon effects. Every monster has return from grave. Okay, this is hyperbole, and this is because you're seeing red here. Because Blue Eyes has this too. Jet Dragon comes back, Maiden comes back, your monsters all come back too. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Now, every monster has negate effects. Okay, this is partially true, but that's why you put them in your deck. Not every monster has negate effects, and obviously you're experiencing this problem because your monsters don't have negate effects, and you have decided that you don't want to play the cards that do, like Spirit Dragon and Link Monster. So if this guy was ending Seals, Blue Eye Spirit Dragon, or like double Spirit Dragon, he'd be winning a lot of games, but he doesn't want to touch the extra deck. And don't even get me started on stupid Link summons. Whenever I see someone Link summoning a monster, I insta-concede. That's all bolded. I think that shit should not exist. I see my opponent special summoned a very cool big boss monster only for it to be used as tribute/material for Link summoning dog shit 0 attack Link. What? What is the point of high-level monsters if you only cycle through them to bring other monsters? Because they're cheap material. Because, like, things like Bestial Oblivion, Blue Eyes, Red Eyes Darkness Metal, they come out either easily or bring other bodies with them, and then you can turn them into things that actually interact with your opponent. It is not... So, again, those categories that I talked about, where monsters are hard to deal with, disruptive, or a floodgate. So cards like Red Eyes Darkness Metal and Light Pulsar Dragon didn't do anything to your opponent. They did not destroy anything. They didn't make your opponent discard cards. They had no negates on them. They just formed a little mini loop that was like kind of hard to deal with, where it's like you had to kill the Light Pulsar and then you had to kill the Red Eyes Darkness Metal. It was honestly very fun gameplay, where Red Eyes Darkness Metal would bring back Light Pulsar every single turn. Pulsar would bring back Darkness Metal, and you had to deal with both of them. And so Red Eyes Darkness Metal, you can turn those into something like a Seals. And then when your opponent normal summons their monster, you can Seals, get that out of here, and then Seals summon something else from your deck. Like, it is more advantageous. That's why people are doing it. What was it? There's there was some really funny deck. Now I can't remember what it was. It like went through a lot of hoops to summon something just to link it off. It was, now I can't remember. Oh, Mermail, that's what it is. I like Mermail a lot because it's really funny to me to go through all the effort of Xyz summoning Abyss Trite into, not Gaios, what's it called? Poseidra. Into Poseidra Xyz, and then link off Poseidra Xyz. Like, just get out of here. Like, goodbye, because I want to reborn 3 more monsters. Like, that's just very funny to me. Because Poseidra is very cool. And it's just like, link material, goodbye, get out of here. Okay, also, why does everyone have 100% copies of deck lists posted online? How does everyone have all the URs to use the deck at 100% power? Are there no new players in this game? There are so many new players. Reddit is only the vocal ones. Reddit only has the vocal ones. So, you guys on Reddit, I love you. I love you guys. I love you. We need you. We need you in the game. But these new players aren't focused on getting a good deck. And so if you gave them an actual good deck, like if you gave a new player with the good Blue Eyes cards, I think they would have a lot more fun once they understood them. Like, you wouldn't even have to make it complicated. You could have Link Blue Eyes, Synchro Blue Eyes, and Ulti Spirit, and then give them like Black Rose, the Black Rose Light Synchro monster. They don't need more options, and like that would be enough to keep them quite content. Like, you don't need to go into Crimson Dragon stuff, and these players would win a lot more games. Okay, 40 comments. So maybe I should just start making angry posts on Reddit. Why does this? The game's been going on 4 years. A lot of players draft points. Okay, not helpful. Bit of a slog starting out because you're lacking staples. Once it gets going, it becomes much easier, but there isn't any real way to cheat this other than spending a ridiculous amount of money. Okay, ridiculous amount of money to you may or may not be to somebody else. So like the $20 on Yu-Gi-Oh! May be an insane amount of money for you. Like $20 maybe I could never. Like, I'm so impoverished, I could not put $20 in. That's why I'm playing it, because it's free. But for some people, like, you gotta, whenever I'm talking about money, I always try to frame it like relative to like if you're okay with that price. Because if somebody wants to spend $10,000 on Yu-Gi-Oh! And they can afford it, then they can afford it, and that's not a ridiculous amount of money to stick to a deck, a somewhat cheap one perhaps, or something you just enjoy. If you can pull it right now, it's even better, since selection packs are great while secret packs are a bit of a scam. You'll eventually build up your... This guy has it, though. So stick to a deck or something you enjoy. So you need to find what you enjoy, and you need to stick to that. The idea is focus your early resource on one meta deck that you can use to climb and clear daily missions. Get the dual pass and your monthly mission event. Spends your UR into core strategy cards only, or staple cards only. Some people like to spends on staples that can be used in many decks first, while some focused on core engine. Pick a strategy and do not mix and match. Pull from selection pack if possible. It is the best way to get the cards you want. The current staple selection pack is kind of good if you happen to get your staple. Okay, what he means by that is whatever it is in the shop. Right now, there used to be Dual Masters or something like that, and that was a good pack. Birth of a Challenger. Birth of a Challenger is in the shop right now and has all the Ghost Girls, Mulcharmy, Perulia, Fuelos, Darker Learn No More, Triple Tactus Talent, Ultimate Slayer, Thrust, and Imperm in it for URs, and then like generic good staple super rares that like could go in most decks. So that's what he's talking about. And that is a decent pack if you don't have anything, but you need to have a competent deck first. And again, the problem is that like these players don't want to learn any combos. So it wouldn't matter if I give them a full power Blue Eyes deck. They would not be able to summon Sage, Maiden, True Light, Wishes, and then like roar out Blue Eyes or whatever the play is now, or like Ether Barrel into Seals. Like I don't know what it is that they cannot comprehend these crazy plays. Like Yu-Gi-Oh is the like turbo air jumping ultra fast fighting game of card games. It is just all gas, all go, all the time, no breaks, and you just get to do everything you want. So I think that a lot of these people that want like a slow deck or like a simple deck would legitimately be happier playing a different game. Like I don't hear Magic the Gathering players complain all the time that like the game is too complicated. Like they'll complain that like the meta deck is too strong, but I don't hear them saying like the game itself is too complicated. I know there's that's a can of worms where like the what's going on in Magic the Gathering is they have like a big schlop problem right now. Schlop for the piggies. But not in that the game itself is too hated or that they can't follow it or they can't learn how to play the decks. Like if you give them a deck, even if they'll be much, much worse than like a very good player, they're still able to literally play the game because the options every turn are so limited. I keep seeing Fiendsmith cards in every other decks. Am I to assume they are a staple archetype which can be combined with almost everything? Okay, specific question. This is from OP again, and kind of, yes, but there are decks that they don't go in where they just don't help you. Like in Blue Eyes, for example, I would not, people are not putting Fiendsmith in Blue. Fiendsmith can go in many, many other decks. Keeping on. The game gave you a massive hoard of resources to build anything you wanted to start off with, and you opened random packs. Just make a fresh account if you feel like you've bricked yours. I don't know what else to tell you. This is absolutely not the game's fault. So this is true, but this is also like harsh, or like this new player is angry and upset, and he cannot. He wants to feel validated, not that he was stupid. And he kind of says this, but I'm sorry. But as I said, I'm a new player. How would I know the most optimal way of using my resources if I never got this info? I thought that opening a few packs would give me enough cards from an archetype in order to complete a deck using it. But URs are a problem in any archetype. So this is true. Like if you literally think like you can open up a couple packs, that is not how Master Duel at all. And I'm sad to see that, because I wish there were more examples right off the bat. So Konami tries, they have this feature, they have like the public deck search. Let me try to find it. Nope, these are my decks in public deck search down here. So like if I click on one of these decks, you can see that this is like a lot of 3-ofs in this guy's deck. But you have to like come here and see it. Yes, you can see it in the client, but like it's a lot of multiples. And in Duel Live, I don't even know where it is anymore. I think it's the same deal, where if we want to look at a deck, like, will this let me look at the decks? Yeah, so like I can check. Okay, so we're gonna check the deck of this player here. So check deck, and we can see what his deck is. He's got a set of Royal Rituals. I don't know why he's got 3. Now I'm just confused. 3. Okay, it's pure Mitsurugi. Okay, so 3 rituals. I don't think they normally play 3. Now I legitimately don't even know if they play 3 ritual. But something like Mitsurugi is completely fine as this. And you can see, I wish it showed the rarity on this page, but this is not bad. So you can like copy that deck. And let's check. I saw this was a Blue Eyes deck. And so again, this guy has a bunch of royals, but we can see this deck. And if we copy it, we'll be able to look at all the rarities. So that's like kind of a scam, but at least you can see in Duel Live what these decks look like and is a step in the right direction. Here's another Blue Eyes deck. I disagree with a lot about this one, but that's like neither here nor there. That this is, I would rather play this deck than whatever pile OP is playing. So at least you can see, like, Konami's trying. There's a way to see these decks, but they don't want to step on your ability to play these decks. And I don't know what else they can do other than when you open the client, have a random deck that you have to look at and like close it. Because they do Duel Live for 5 gems. Maybe that should be worth more gems, or like check deck. But if you are new to the game, watch the Duel Lives, actually watch them. And if either player has cool cards, go ahead and check their deck and like look at what their decks actually look like. And I think that this is a certain like affliction I have, is that whenever I find out anything new, my immediate first reaction is go to the internet and like find as much research on it as possible. And so recently I started playing the original Diablo, and I made a conscious decision. Like, I'm not going to go online and just look up a guide and look up everything. I had a blast. I had a blast with what I played. Just life's getting in the way. But I made a conscious decision in myself to not seek out the information and just overload my brain. And I think that a lot of people don't do this. If you're capable of making a 5-page essay rant post, surely you're capable of using the search bar to look up new player tutorials, meta tier lists, or deck lists as well. Got him! Double X items. I've blown the F out. This is true. I'm sorry. If you're this guy, truth nuke. If you can navigate Reddit to complain and type sentences that make sense, even if they're not grammatically correct, you can 100% find your way to Master Duel Meta or to YouTube and type in a guide and not get lost. It's funny because you say you hate link summoning, but that's exactly what contributes to the consistency of Blue Eyes. It's still bricky, but the cycling bodies mechanic. The link summon stays in the field. What you used goes in the graveyard. So 2 bodies are. Grab the card Spirit with Eyes of Blue and read it. Dragon Train is another solid one to keep up with the consistency. Don't agree. Link summoning is a generic mechanic that lets you climb your power up and put bodies in the graveyard to keep cycling. Solo gates teach a lot of this stuff. I'm not sure about that. Also, this game can be very, very frustrating. Step away if you get too tilted. Still learning. This is another truth bomb. Not a nuke. It's just a truth bomb. That link summoning helps almost every deck, and I just made a short, and I couldn't go in depth enough that your deck probably has a specific link monster that would help tremendously, because most extra deck and main deck URs are staples. Craft them once and this is true. So if your deck if I craft a deck, so here you can even see that I have bookmarked a whole bunch of things. So if I start called by is limited now, called by crossout imperm. So if I start a deck like this, that's 19 cards before putting anything else in. So whatever my theme is, I don't need to fill it out very much. And so 21 cards is probably not enough space for the whole deck, and I'll have to cut some of this non-engine here. Also, no card is more expensive than any other. 30 super rare and UR dust isn't at all. I have a small checklist of cards. Jump into anything. Maxis, Kualos, Ash, called by, crossout, Imperm, Nibiru. Yeah, you can substitute cards like Forbidden Chalice, Book of Color. So this is true. But the new player here, there's 2 problems here. One, and he's new player is frustrated that his opponents are better than him, but his opponents are better than him because he has more information. And new player doesn't have the information, and there is not a good on-ramp for new players, but there's so much other information out there. Like, just do a search for Yu-Gi-Oh! Beginner content, or go into any place and ask. If you're playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Honestly as a solo game, I think you are doing it wrong. I think Yu-Gi-Oh! is one of the games that brings people together. Like, it exists as part of a community. Like, deep Yu-Gi-Oh! Lore. And tell me in the comments if you knew this. Yu-Gi-Oh! Started as a Magic the Gathering knockoff in Shonen Jump. And that's part A of the trivia. And part B is that Magic the Gathering is called The Gathering because Richard Garfield wants you to gather with your friends and hang out and spend time together. Like, because you're coming together to play Magic. The magic of these games is sharing them with your friends, is the moment, is the stories. It's not the moment-to-moment gameplay. So, like, if you don't have any friend, and I can almost guarantee that, like, all of these Reddit guys don't have a core group of friends that they, like, talk to about you. And that, like, makes me incredibly sad, like, legitimately very sad, because they don't have anybody to hang out with. So they're, like, terminally online. They've picked up Yu-Gi-Oh!, which I love Yu-Gi-Oh!, but then they haven't completed the cycle of hanging out with. So, like, go on Twitch, find a small streamer, and talk to them. Or go on a Discord, join my Discord, and ask people what's up. You need to hang out with people. King of What Remains says, that being said, I would still suggest new players focus on building a functional deck before getting the staples. Having a playable deck with no staples is better for getting through the early ranks to get more gems than a set of staples with no. Agree, but that bar is very low, and it should be almost immediate. So what I would do is I would give somebody new something super cheap. True Draco, Flu, Exodia, Red Dragon Archfiend. Give them a handful of staples. Druis Worm, Droll and Lockbird, Forbidden Chalice, Book of Moon, and I'm not sure what else. The staples from the shop that you can get for 750 gems. Those types of staples. And then they can craft their maxi. There are some budget decks that work against the current meta, though they do have some UR of their own. Tier decks are expensive because they sell well. Perhaps especially so. Malice, Blue Eyes Primate, Rise Yeoman, quickest, etc. Thus, they're expensive. Also, forgive me if you think Link Summoning's bad. Try going against a Pendulum Magician deck. Again, why the Pendulum hate? It's that players don't understand how pendulums work. Pendulums are not that complicated. They just like players don't want to learn, and that's it. There's plenty of decks out there. Monarchs, Flu, True Draco. Yes, those are very simple decks to use that don't use the extra deck. Labyrinth can get expensive, but barely touches the extra deck. And if you want to experiment a little through deck building, perhaps try some extenders or help get cards endgame monsters faster. So this is the problem, that he's picking the wrong endgame monster. So if he's trying to summon Chaos Max and pass, okay. Now I read your full rant, and you're mad people read their cards. You're mad they know their archetype and look up how their deck works. That part, yes. The last part, yes. You're mad they spent the resources the way they needed to improve their decks. Why do I have to deal with the same monster twice? Because you didn't read the card. Why do they summon a lame zero attack Link? Maybe if you read the card, dude, you're coming to a 4-year-old game and complaining that people who play it try to get better at it. You opened a ton of packs for new decks, didn't commit to the decks, and wasted all your resources. My advice is to read your cards, look up decks, and see how they work. Look up guides to learn combos. It isn't your opponent's fault. You aren't prepared for the game. While I agree Yu-Gi-Oh! Is stupid complicated for no reason, it's even worse if you're going to a truth nuke. But there's no way for players to know this, and that is really, really unfortunate, because Yu-Gi-Oh! It's over 25, it's like 30 years old. 96, I think, was in Japan, and Magic is, 93? So, like, card games are old. They're probably older than you, and they literally come from a different era, like the Fortnites and the Battle Passes, and these types of games are meant to be addictive, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Has to pull some tricks in order to make its gameplay addictive, because the gameplay is not what's addictive. It's all of the stuff around getting the cards and ranking up and all this. And that's your problem here. That's Konami's problem, is that Yu-Gi-Oh! Doesn't lend itself hyper easily to this like super popular, easy to play game. Like, I've tried to get my kids to play Yu-Gi-Oh! And they don't want to learn, because Yu-Gi-Oh! Is freaking hard. So, like, I can play Dungeons and Dragons with them, and they'll play. And yes, it's like a lot of wrangling, because they're literal children, but they can play. They can play Monopoly. They can play other board games, but Yu-Gi-Oh! Is not something that they're just interested in to play at all, because they see the learning curve and they opt out. And it's really sad to me when players don't see the learning curve. They don't see the brick wall of learning they're against, and then make a decision to either not learn it or learn it. Because either way, you will then be happy. It's, again, this motivation clash between, I want to win, I want to be good at the game, but I don't want to practice it. Like, it's that simple. Like, there's several other types of games that I would love to be able to be good at and play a lot. So, like, shooters, like, I had a friend that played Valorant for a while. I had friends that played Apex, and I like playing those games, but I'm terrible. StarCraft is another game. What's something else? Fighting games. I'm terrible at all of these games, and I recognize that I simply don't want to put the time in. So maybe we'll play or whatever if it's game night and that's what we're playing, or that's what you've brought, or what so nobody brings the game, nobody hangs out anymore. It's all just online. So it's just everyone is playing their own game. I'm in my own 1984 Fahrenheit 451 earphones so that I can't hear the other people, and mumbling to myself, and books don't exist, and this is the world we live in. You don't bring a game. You cannot bring a video game over to your friend's house. This game is the worst onboarding of any game. True, if you didn't start out when it released. Not true, then you'll be very far behind a majority of players who have amassed a collection of staples and generic extra deck boss. Time went on. No. So, yes, but it's that they obscure all the information so that if you don't have a strategy going in, you end up wasting your gems and your time and potentially your money. Oh, that's 10 minutes. I need to finish this up. I'll be right back. All right, so I have 10 more minutes and then I have to go. You're probably misusing your beginner gems. They give out a ton of them. There should be videos on how to use gems on YouTube. Yes, but they need to know that, because they go in, they're like, this looks cool, and the worst thing is that players, they log into Master Duel. they start some games, they pick one of the decks, they pick a structure deck or whatever, and then they buy some packs and buy single packs of this and buy some master packs, and then they have no decks, they have no cards, they've wasted their gems, and then they either have to start a new account or spend money. And it's sad and frustrating that I can't preempt them. The only way I can get in front of them is after they've spent all their money, or not necessarily money, but they've reached the frustration point. They've made all the mistakes, and then they turn to the internet and get mad at Reddit. I used to open tons of random packs, like many nostalgic returning players, including me. I did it with Crystal Beast, Heroes, and a cool solo deck, Lightsworn. Master Rule is bad at explaining rulings and mechanics to new players. True, but that's not what's relevant here. And even worse at guiding them through deck building. True. In my opinion, you shouldn't hate links or any game mechanic before at least trying them and understanding them. Yes, links can be bullshit, but they can also make old decks playable and modern, like they did with Blue Eyes, which was meta a few months. Plus, we're getting rid of Appaloosa in one day, one of the most problematic links. That's not his problem here. Problem is that is link climbing. Is that the time it takes. A lot of players have this complexity problem of playing for 8 minutes. So I play for 8 minutes, and then you have to play through my 6 in-engine negates plus 4 hand traps, and you're just not going to do that. And I don't know how to help new players with that, because I can shout it until I'm blue, but it's a problem Konami needs to fix structurally within their game. They need to point players at this, that that you can do this too. And that's what they're trying to do with Duel Live and other promotions and these Challenger Cups and Shadow Duelist and whatever else, and big tournaments to show players what the game can be. And I think the game can be very exciting, and it can be exciting to watch, but they need to know. And you know what I need to do? I need to read that Yu-Gi-Oh manga that summons Zeus and Maxi. I need to find that, and I need to read that live to you guys. All right, so this has been Thoughtseize. We are done. If you made it this far, thank you so much. Join me in the Discord. You can talk to me there. We have other like-minded folks that absolutely adore Yu-Gi-Oh here. And the last thing I want is for you to get frustrated at the game and leave the game, because there is a lot of depth and play and so many different things you can do. You can play your Blue Eyes deck how you want. And the real hurdle that I think players don't understand is that Yu-Gi-Oh is all gas, no brakes. Every deck, even the garbage stuff. So you turbo out a floodgate, or put up a bunch of disruptions, or kill your opponent. Those are the three things you can do in Yu-Gi-Oh. And even the bad decks aspire to do those in some way. I can't think of a deck, because I suppose the final category, there's true FTK, and then also Towers monster. Towers, if you didn't know, is a monster that is unaffected by stuff. Sometimes they're unable to be destroyed by battle. And so I guess your Blue Eyes Chaos Max is kind of like a Towers if you're summoning that and passing, but the game is not at a point where you can summon a big guy and pass. It's going to just be removed so easily. So you need to put up disruption to stop your opponent from outing your guy. So thank you for watching. Please subscribe and share this with your friends, and tell your friends that Yu-Gi-Oh is the, I don't even know. I don't know what a super fast fighting game is. So it's not Street Fighter or Tekken. We're more the air dodgers. That's it. We're an air dodger type of game rather than a grounded game. We're not Smash Brothers. Magic the Gathering is Smash Brothers. I think we're Guilty Gear, but I don't know. You tell me which fighting game is Yu-Gi-Oh, and part B of that is what character is your deck. I don't know how to end this. How do I end a video? Who was it on YouTube that used to go